Another day in the mine, and what are we up to today, you might be wondering? Well, today we're running vent bagging, which is what you see here in front of you. This pushes air back into the mine when it's connected to the blower. It obviously gives us fresh air, cleans out the gases after a blast and that sort of thing. So the way that we run this is every 8 feet or so, take a rock drill and drill a hole into the rib, which is the side of the adit here. And take one of these, which is called a red head, and push that in, tap with a hammer a few times, then take a drill, and with these, when you drill them, they expand. See the bolt in there? This expands around it. This outer sleeve, this jacket, expands around that bolt and anchors it in here. So I could pull on that if my life depended on it, and I would not get that out. That's anchored in so strongly. And we take a 9-wire and wrap it around and run it out. You can also just drive nails in or other bolts. Either way, you have something to hang these hooks off of. That one's actually loose. There. You hang these hooks off of the wire here and run that all along. And then depending on the length of the section you're working with, some are 25, some are 50, some are longer, you have to connect them together. And I'll show you at another section how that works. Still with the vent bagging, I was talking about the process for connecting the different sections of bag together. And what you need to do is you need to take one of those wire rings, this one, and shove it inside the next one in the line. And the wire ring at the edge for this bag is this section here. In other words, this one has been shoved into the next bag to this point. And then what you do when they're the 2 wire rings, which are what these are, when they're about 1 inch apart, you take your length of wire and wrap it all the way around, and then you twist it together like so. Tight, you gotta really tighten down so the pressure from the air blasting through doesn't pull it apart. Then you just twist it up and then kind of bend it out of the way so somebody doesn't poke an eye out or anything. So it's it can be a pain to connect these together sometimes, as you guys can probably imagine, but that's how that works. Let's see how far away. We're probably 1,100 feet in now with the vent bagging, and that's taken us a day and a half to get it that far. So it's going faster now. We got a couple difficult sections, but you get a rhythm going, which is what we're doing now, and eventually push it all the way to the back. Remember I showed you that water spurting out of here last week? Well, it was last week for me. I don't know what that's going to be for you, but last week for me. We got it now. Now it's got 2 distinct streams and even more pressure because it's shooting out all the way over there. That is very interesting. Making some work back. Most of the work we're doing is close to the portal, but we've done some stuff back here for MSHA, putting up the caution tape, taking these ladders out of service. You can see the do not operate tags. Keeps MSHA happy doing that kind of stuff. And then, just to refresh your memory, that's back where that big collapse is. As you can see, we've got that caution tape all up there. Again, the kind of thing keeps MSHA happy, which is what we want. Well, it's starting to get warmer, but then you get days like this. Remember those mountains you can usually see across the way? Well, this is how they look today. It's very pretty, but it's also very cold. So, fortunately, We've got this kerosene heater over here that's keeping things nice and warm inside of the shed for when we're not underground. Keeps things nice and dry. Alright, here's a pretty shot of the mountains across the way. They're still there. Little break in the storm for the moment, but it's supposed to be more coming in. I have to say that the views are one of the perks of working here. It's interesting, it was really windy and gusty earlier, but it's dead calm right now. Like I said, there's supposed to be more on the way. Alright, we're back at Elm Street, as you can see. And things have changed over the weekend. We now have a refuge chamber set up here. You guys spent the weekend building this. You can see they put wood in, fire resistant paint, and they foamed up the sides to make it airtight. Per MSHA's rules. This isn't done back here yet. There's gonna be a chest back here with food, water, blankets, medical supplies. But this is the basic idea. There's some water right there, but yeah, there'll be a lot more stuff in here when they're done. And of course, that's the end of the little drift right there. But almost in business with a refuge chamber. You guys may not recognize it from this perspective, but we're up that raise on the 1200 a little way. What do you think, we're up 80 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably about 80 feet up. And when we looked here before, you could see there was some sort of structure up here on the right. And as it turns out, this is an ore chute running up this way. I'm standing in what's left of the manway now. And this keeps running up that way. Actually looks like it levels out a little bit. There's a steep section in front of me, and then it looks like it might level out a little bit. Don't have the best light. I'm using my miner's light right now, but hopefully that's coming across on the camera. There's a fair amount of wood here, but we don't see any sign of ground fall or collapse. We think, see all the quartz, I don't know if you can see it or not actually, but there's quartz scattered all through here. And so we think they created this to follow the quartz up. In other words, not as a escape or anything like that. I think this is to follow the quartz. Sorry, I was distracted looking around. See an old insulator right there, that white thing right there, that's an old insulator. The remains of a pulley right there, if you guys can see that. Again, that's my buddy down there for some scale. So interesting things here. The other two adits here both sort of drift off to the left from the one we're coming in on now. And so it makes sense that this maintains about the same level of incline up to those other two. In other words, they're properly situated that this would run into them naturally like this. So I believe we're the first ones up here in quite a long time. And by quite a long time, I'm talking about at least decades. So it'll be interesting to see as this develops what's up there and how this ties into the other levels. I was shooting up there before and come down a bit. I wanted to show you a better view of that pulley and the insulator here. Again, I wish I had a better light right now, but you get the idea. Documenting the passage of time. Look at the other side of the canyon now. There's not a speck of snow over there. Now that did happen pretty fast. That snow melted in about 2 weeks, so. See more people up here now. Got some more wood finally. It'll be a hot day today. We'll get on the ground and get to it.
You see just how that is offset a little bit more. Yeah, this is back. That'll help you probably a lot right there because it'll give you enough to jump.
I'm gonna cut a new block too, I guess, to put in.
Yeah, fill the gap a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, try to only hook the spike a little bit, because if you raise the rail, it'll let shit get under the tie, and then it'll be at a different height, and try to put it back. Good.
All right.
Moment of truth.
Mostly that other side with the gap.
It's the height difference now, which
Hit me. One of it's spike right there.
What's it hitting?
Spike.
All right, we're up by the 1600 today. And what are we up to today, you might ask? Well, we're doing track work. And the issue here is that these tracks are buried deeply in the mud. An example of it here, he's actually lifted that out a bit, so it was worse before. But if you look beyond, back that way, it's so deeply buried in the mud, it's impossible to get the ore car through it. So what we're doing is we're jamming that pry bar underneath the ties, lifting them up, and another one of us has to jam a bunch of silt and rock and gravel underneath the tie to elevate a bit. Also, because it's been decades or longer since any work has been done back here, a lot of the spikes have come out of the rotten wood, and so we're also pounding in spikes. I just pounded in these spikes here, which will hopefully get it through at least another few decades. So we started back there and have made it this far. It's slow going because the ground here is really hard. It's got clay mixed into it, and so we really have to smash it up to be able to get the pry bar underneath. And not easy, as you can see. What he's doing right now. You see, it's starting to lift it out of the muck. It's getting there. Yeah, you can see how loose the rail is too, so might need more spikes down here. And then of course, there we go. That's good enough now. Now I'm gonna put the camera away and help him start shoving muck under. Of course, it's harder when the water turns to chocolate milk because we're disturbing so much silt. That's what we're up to today. So I'll put the camera away and start helping him.
Some of the spikes I pulled out, I rotted away. They were like as thin as pencil lead in the center.
He's not exaggerating, it really was.
Oh, see, I saw that up there. I didn't grab it. Put that on my script too.
You see my angle?
Yeah.
I angle it in a little bit so to, you know, hopefully miss that. And so when we are doing rail new, this is typically the way you do it. You would do one on the inside and two on your outsides. It's not as important on the straight stretch, but on the corner, you want to make sure you get two on your outsides always, because the weight is going to be on that corner, you know?
Yeah.